the Russian sleep experiment. Researchers in the 1940s took 5 prison inmates and locked them in an airtight chamber with a special gas to keep them awake. They wanted to see the effects of prolonged sleep deprivation and promised the subjects their freedom if they could go 30 days without sleep. After several days, some prisoners began screaming endlessly. Others blocked the one-way mirrors so the researchers could no longer watch them. Then, the screaming stopped. 3 days went by without a sound from inside the chamber. The researchers addressed them via the intercom. They were coming in and told the inmates to lie flat on the floor. One of the voices answered, "We no longer want to be freed." The researchers opened the chamber anyway. One of the subjects was dead and torn to shreds, with chunks of his body stuffed into the floor drains. The other 4 subjects were mutilated to the brink of death. Terrified at the sight of them, one member of the team opened fire on the prisoners. Before killing the last inmate, the researcher asked a single question: "What are you?" The subject responded, "Have you forgotten so easily? We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night." The researcher, satisfied with his answer, shot the last remaining subject in the heart. They stabbed a girl to please Slenderman. Perhaps the most famous creepypasta-inspired crime was the brutal assault on a 12-year-old girl by 2 of her friends. Morgan Geyser and Anissa Ware, also 12, wanted to make a sacrifice to Slenderman, a fictional character created for an online contest. The girls not only believed Slenderman was real, but he would allow them to live in his secret forest mansion if they killed for him. Geyser and Ware took their friend Peyton Leutner to a park bathroom and stabbed her 19 times. Leutner survived the attack, and her testimony led to the arrest of Geyser and Ware. In 2015, a judge ruled the 2 girls would stand trial as adults. Because of the premeditated nature of their crime, if convicted, the 2 could each face up to 65 years in prison. The horrific story behind Disneyland's Dolly's Dip. Dolly Young was in a bobsled on the Matterhorn ride in 1984. She unbuckled herself to assist a child on the ride. As she stood up, she hit the cross-track overhead just before a dip and was thrown onto the tracks. Young was then run over by the next bobsled. Reportedly, workers had to dismantle the track to dislodge her body. Since her death, Disneyland employees have experienced a feeling of being watched around Dolly's Dip, the area where Young died, as well as general feelings of unease and discomfort. Workers also say the lights directly above Dolly's Dip do not work properly. They often flicker and burn out much faster than other lights on the ride. Is La Llorona real? Across South America and in southwest U.S. states like New Mexico and Texas, legend tells of a wailing female ghost known as La Llorona. There are various origin stories and descriptions of this woman, but they all have one thing in common. They are terrifying. Most versions of the story involve a spectral woman walking near a river, crying into the night for her dead children. However, in some version of La Llorona's tale, she not only weeps for her lost children, but seeks to replace them. In Mexico, for instance, parents use this version of the tale to keep their children from running around at night and getting into trouble. If a child is caught by the ghost, she'll ask them for forgiveness and then drown them in the closest body of water. Beware the Baykoks. Baykoks are evil, skeletal creatures that can fly and become invisible. They are warrior creatures who hunt humans for food. They have sunken, red eyes, and their scream freezes victims in fright. But perhaps the creepiest thing about them is how they are created and destroyed. Baykoks are former human warriors who died shameful deaths after committing grave acts like rape, incest, or infanticide. The only way to kill a Baykok is to find its original human remains and give them a proper burial. The mummified hoarder in the $1 Million Home. A foreclosed house became a nightmarish find for a San Francisco tax official when he discovered the mummified body of an elderly hoarder inside. Police entered the home and found the worst case of hoarding they've ever seen. There were giant piles of rotting garbage, rats, and hundreds of bottles of urine. The woman's corpse, dead for 5 years, was found in the bedroom of the decrepit house, where, incredibly, her daughter lived as well. The daughter was removed from the house, and it was completely cleaned and remodeled. The house, in the popular Lake District of San Francisco, went back on the market and sold for $1.56 million. Could you survive an encounter with the Wendigo? The Wendigo originates from Cree and Ojibwe mythology. Modern television and often film depict the creature as a lupine monster, similar to werewolves, with a deer skull head. However, original Native American myths did not include this description. According to the Cree people, Wendigo are wild, giant man-eaters who steal from and murder innocent people. Some stories claim that they can possess humans and that their victims turn into Wendigo. There is a psychological condition named after the creature, Wendigo psychosis. This condition causes people to crave human flesh. One of the first known vampires in history. The horrifying story of Peter Plogojowitz, also known as Plogojowitz, is one of the earliest known accounts of vampirism. Weeks after dying and being buried, Plogojowitz was seen walking around his village, looking healthy and decidedly not dead. His wife even attests to having had a visit from her husband, requesting his shoes. Around the same time, several villagers began suffering from a bizarre illness and dying. All of them swore that Plogojowitz came to them in the middle of the night and throttled them in their beds. His son also reported seeing his father in their kitchen. Then he also died under mysterious circumstances. The town finally decided to exhume Plogojowicz's body. Upon doing so, they discovered the man alive and breathing in his coffin. They immediately staked him through the heart and burnt his corpse. After which, the nightly terrors and sudden deaths instantly stopped.